Opening with the king pawn in this game is the future goat of chess. Some say he can even make a man resign the game just with a look. Who's his opponent in this one? His absolute bezzy. It's Magnus Carlsen, aka Mangrove Carlswamp, kicking off with the black pieces with the aggressive, imbalanced Sicilian defence. This is titillating Tuesday. They played it this week at the end of August 2025. I didn't yet cover it. I was away for a few days with a few friends. Sorry about that one. Some epic chess partying was done. Now we're back to some serious online blitz chess. Hans Niemann develops the knight here. Magnus does the same. We absolutely love watching these guys clash. And Niemann dares to play the Rossolimo. Why do I say that? Well, Magnus played this against Fabi, 2018 World Chess Championship match. He is an expert, knows these structures inside out, goes for this line. Niemann gives up the bishop bear, but in return he mangles the pawn structure. d3 is on the board. You could simply fianchetto that one, right? Looks natural, but we get the queen developing here. And these are some of the main moves for white, but none of them are played by Hans. This is very much a sideline. He pushes the pawn in the center. Now you gain space, sure, but it looks a bit wrong. You're moving another pawn twice, and is it really a good move? It's now vulnerable. You're not developing anything. Magnus sticks a pony on the edge of the board, saying, fine, you want to play weird, non-principled moves. I'll meet you at your game and raise you 5. Look where this pony's headed. This is why Magnus practices. This is why he visualizes. It's moments like this. That's 3 horsey moves in a row, and it just gets better. Because after h3, keeping an eye on bishop g4, giving the king some Lufthansa, we get takes with check. The 4th horsey move in a row. This is risky business. Now the bishop finally develops. The pawn about to drop, but defended now, and it sets up an x-ray on the queen. So bishop e6 naturally blockades. Here's a space gain. Magnus meets him halfway, and after knight d2, surely now castling the king is the order of the day. It is playable, but something about it Magnus didn't like. Maybe he didn't want to get into Hans's deep prep. So instead, he plays pawn h6, kind of waiting move, maybe looking for some g5 expansion later on. Waiting move probably mischaracterizes it, but doesn't commit the king. And now white should develop a rook or bring the queen to apparently a slightly better square, over protecting the pawn. But the moves weren't selected. This one was. And I mention it because it gets this question mark. It sacrifices a pawn. Black can legit pick up this pawn here. It wasn't played. We're in analysis mode. Back cave. Here's how the line goes. But when that one's done, where's the tactical shot for white? Answer, there actually isn't one. You know, it looks like you've got something a bit nasty, but the queen's got it covered. There is a pawn there as well. Black's okay. Looks scary to open the line, but soon the king can get out of dodge, one way or another. So that was actually the way to go. But Magnus, trusting Hans here, plays pawn b6, barely even thinks about taking the pawn, and Niemann decides that this is the moment to lean back like an absolute chess boss and uncork a brilliancy, checking Magnus, allowing pawn takes, but Magnus didn't do it. Look at the bar, shoot to the heavens. If you do this, then takes, opens the attack, queen goes, and now you take the bishop as well as hit the rook. Don't go here, queen's going to be made. So here, of course, but then the pawn drops. This is defended. It's absolutely curtains. Game over. So, no takes. Magnus calmly sidesteps here. And Niemann can see nothing better now but to drop back that knight. Not necessary, but played in the game. We now see rook d8. Pawn b3 on the board, and again, top move of the all-powerful Stock Squiddington is to win that pawn. But Magnus didn't do it. Understandable, his king stepping round the centre, so he hot steps one more square to the right of the board here, as we're looking at it anyway, his left of course, unless we were using a mirror, and he's looking to get to that corner. Niemann though puts the squeeze on, pawn h4, really going after Magnus's kahunas now. That is an epic move, and it causes a blunder from the world co-chess champion of Blitz. Magnus plays rook d5. Now we know he loves a little rook lift, but here it's a bad move because Niemann's got a winning shot. Can you find the tactic? So well done if you saw knight to f6 check. Now of course you're about to win an exchange if black doesn't react. Say you take with the pawn, well it's the same troubles here. Queen goes, something like this, and you're getting in on these dark squares. Here's one idea, here's another idea, here's one sample line. You also set up a battery where you go after the weak pawns. This is the double threat in the position. So I'll pause there, run it back. The point is, this is just very deadly. And if the bishop takes, still bad things start happening after pawn takes and opening the bishop. Clumsy rook in the middle of the board, clumsy bishop. So that was a winning move. But Niemann goes knight to c3. Now, to be fair to him, Nepo did save Magnus just at this moment. Waltzed on in, beautiful bit of disco dancing. Understandable that Niemann missed this shot. But regardless, g5's now on the board. And it means Magnus can seriously fight back. It's an incredible move. Andrea's spinning the beats. If you now capture the knight, well, it's not about taking here, but chucking this one in, hitting the queen. She's got to go somewhere. Then you take, and you've got two minor pieces for the rook, plus a lovely bishop pair. It's black that's now doing great. So we didn't see pawn takes. We instead saw the bishop drop back. Takes, by the way, and going for this. Then you leave the defense of this pawn. So the rook takes, similar to the game. Good for black here. So what we saw was bishop g3, takes on h4, and Niemann's running out of squares. So he did indeed capture. Now Magnus takes here. This is his big point. This is why he rook lifted. He's trying to punish that earlier pawn push. It became weak. There was a tactic. It was missed. And now it's Magnus who really starts fighting his way back into this game. Looks like you're winning an exchange, but you can take with check. Rook recaptures, then save your queen, and you've got to go knight e4 here. You know, it is attacked, and it's just the best move. But instead, we see bishop e5. Looks nice to trade one of those bishops. You know, they work so well together, but there's a problem. This sting at the end of the tail. You double hit these pieces, and after check, hitting the king and defending the rook, king h7, this one now on the way, big attack brewing. The way that white's got to go is knight to e2. You hit the queen, in some lines you rotate around to here to help with the defense of g2, and the game goes on. It's roughly level. But in the game, Niemann plays the very natural knight to e4. And it gets the double question marks of doom. Stockfish absolutely pooping its pants over here because you can now win the game by decoying the queen from the defense of the rook. You know, this one wants to take. So imagine you attack the queen. Bang. It's what Magnus does. You could have checked first. And the queen just hasn't got squares. If you come to h2, not played in the game, then you run into a checkmate. So that's no good. And if you come to f4, as we saw in the game, this is a mistake because Magnus can land the killer rook g4 and the queen's just checkmated effectively from the defense of the rook. You've got to give it up here, and so Niemann resigns knowing that being a queen down against the all-time chess GOAT just ain't going to get it done. So this was the final position, 28 move thriller. Hope you enjoyed this one. Great to be back, and have a look at the video on screen in case you missed Niemann rage quitting the title Tuesday before this one. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you soon. Cheers.